Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be discussing a topic that is cell biology, under which we will discuss about the cytology and the cell division and many more in different parts of our video. Now let's begin with its definition in simple way, that is cell biology. Cytology is the study of cell organelles plus cell inclusions, where that is the study of the cell organelles and the inclusions structure only. But the cell biology includes the cytology itself, where there is the study of cell organelles plus inclusions. In addition to the cytology, here there will be study of its physiology, chemistry and genetics as well. Talking about the father of the modern cytology, he is known as Schwann. And talking about the cell, obviously, in case it is the smallest basic unit of life that is responsible for the all life processes. Talking about the scientist contribution, Robert Hooke is the one who had observed a piece of cork and found it as a cell, where he observed cell in a piece of cork, that is a dead cell of the in which it is the dead tissue, that is bark of Quercus subere, and he is the one who has observed the cell first for the first time, which is the dead cell. So there will be an objective question for you, that which of the following scientists has observed the dead cell for the first time, or for cell for the first time? Then your answer will be Robert Hooke in 1665 on the plant Quercus subere, and he is the one who have given the term cell. So who is the who has given the term, or who have coined the term cell? Then your answer will be Robert Hooke. Likewise, the thing is that he has coined this term in his book. Which is the book? The name of the book is Micrographia. And the father of cytology is also Robert Hooke, as they have done many contributions in the field of cytology. He is known as the father of cytology, as the main thing that the cell has been first of all observed by Robert Hooke. No matter it was a dead cell, but he has given initiative to see the cell even in the piece of a cork, which was a nice initiation. And the father of modern cytology is the Swanson, so don't be in dilemma. The father of cytology is the Robert Hooke, and the father of modern cytology is Swanson. And later, after that, there was a scientist named Anton van Leeuwenhoek, who has been rewarded now as the father of microscopy, as he was the one first of all developing the microscope, simple microscope. And he was very fond of observing things in the surrounding. He used to observe the rainwater or pond water or anything in the microscope, and while he was observing in the in his microscope, one day he observed living cells. Actually, he had brought some water, and he observed that water in the microscope, and in that water he found something moving, and he named these moving cells, as there was motility they found, and then he assumed it as a living cell and eventually give it a term animalcules. So first of all, so you may be asked that which of the following scientists was the first to observe the living cell? Then your answer will be Anton van Leeuwenhoek, who is also the father of microscopy. So after all this, now let's move towards the cell theory. Talking about the cell theory, it was first of all proposed by a scientist named Schleiden. He was actually a botanist. He was actually a botanist who in 1838 was very fond of cutting the sections of the plant, different kinds of plants, and while he was observing it in the microscope, he always found some like compartments, and if he made an assumption that each plants are made up of cells. And likewise, another scientist who is known as Schwann, he was the zoologist, and he was also observing towards the animals, and he was also looking at the compartments, and eventually known that it was cell, and all the animals were also made up of cells. And when they too have when the zoologist found that the botanist has also the same conclusion, that at comprising the both observation and the cell theory was proposed, and the main points of the cell theory were actually all the living things are made up of cells. As in case of Schleiden, he observed it in the plants, being the botanist, as Schwann observed in the animals, being the zoologist. And the second is that the cell is the basic unit of life, that is the structural and functional unit. So these were the main two cell theories. But later, a scientist named Rudolf Virchow in 1855, he proposed a statement that cell arises from the pre-existing cell. He added this later in 1855, which is now included in the cell theory. He proposed the law of cell lineage. Law of cell lineage, as the cell arises from the pre-existing cells, with a fascinating term as a phrase, that is a Latin phrase which is known as omnis cellula e cellula, which is in English every cell from a cell. So this was proposed by Rudolf Virchow. So this may be an important objective question for you guys, that which of the following scientist was renowned for giving the phrase omni cellula e cellula, or who proposed the law of cell lineage? Then your answer will be Rudolf Virchow. Okay, now let's move forward with the topic, that is the exception of the cell theory. As I have already told you that all the living entities are formed from or made up of cells, but there is an exception in the virus, that the virus don't obey the cell theory, as it is not made up of cells. Actually, they are particle which looks like crystal, or they cannot have living characteristics when they are outside the host cell. So they cannot live or reproduce independently. So this one of these is the exception to the cell theory, does not follow the cell theory's points. Second is the paramecium. Paramecium is a single cell organism that shows all the life functions, but there is an exception to that it has been seen multinucleated in some stages, as the cell theory says that every living entity is formed of a cell and each cell is uninucleated. And the third one is the RBC, that is red blood cells mature in the mammals that lack nucleus, thus this also disobeys the cell theory. And the fourth one is the rhizopus mucor. Rhizopus and mucor both are fungi, and interestingly both have sinusotic hyphae. I have already discussed inside the fungi class. Let me shortly that sinusotic hyphae are those that lacks the cross walls. Okay, these are sinusotic hyphae, which is also known as ossebated hyphae, that is without cross walls, and it is exception to one nucleus per cell, as it is also multinucleated, as there is no cross walls. So it can